So we are going to find how to figure out the area of a trapezoid today. This is kind of the hardest formula, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. There's just important things that you need to know about a trapezoid before we even begin. So a trapezoid is a quadrilateral, which means it has 4 sides. 2 of the sides are parallel, and those 2 sides are the bases. So when you have 2 parallel lines, that means that if they went on forever, they would never intersect. So for example, for this one here, the top, this here would be parallel to the bottom, because if you extended them forever and ever and ever, they would never intersect. So the 2 sides that are parallel are the bases, and then the other 2 sides are not parallel, meaning if they went on forever, they would intersect. Okay, so your 2 bases are parallel, and the height is a straight line from one base straight down to the other base. So you need the big base, the little base, and the height. Okay, and again, the base and heights always have to make that 90-degree angle. So let's see if we can figure out this formula. It says to find the area of a trapezoid, add the small base with the large base, also known as B1 and B2. It doesn't really matter which one is which, as long as you add the two bases that are parallel to each other. Multiply this by half of the height. Always label with a 2 on the top. We've been saying that for all of our area formulas. You put a 2 on the top. And remember that the base and height always make a 90-degree angle. So in general, the formula looks like this. Half of the height times base 1 plus base 2. Another way that I have seen it is base 1 plus base 2 times the height, and then the entire thing divided by 2. So that works as well. It just depends on preference. They both mean the same exact thing. So another thing you should know is that this is a trapezoid, but this is also a trapezoid. So as long as 2 sides are parallel and the other 2 are not, even if one's 90 degrees and the other one is not, it's still a trapezoid. So this is the most common type, but this is also one. So see if you can draw this, and let's give some measurements to it. Let's pretend that this is 10. Let's pretend this is 16, 8, and 4. Okay, we'll pretend it's meters. We want to find the area of this trapezoid. So the first thing we have to identify are the 2 bases. If you remember, the 2 bases have to be parallel to each other. So that's going to be 16 and 8. So big base plus little base times the height. The height has to make the 90-degree angle. So that's going to be this number here has to make a 90-degree angle. The 10 does not. So times the height, divide the entire answer by 2. So 16 plus 8 is in parentheses. The 2 bases you have to add first in parentheses. 16 plus 8 is 24 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16, and then 96. And now this whole top part is 96 divided by 2. So that is going to give me 48 meters squared. So that is the area of our trapezoid. So it's big base plus little base times the height, divide the entire answer by 2. Or you could do big base plus little base times, take the height and divide it by 2 first. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and multiply it, you get the same answer. I like this formula better, but either one works. Okay, so make sure you did all these with me, and then you can flip it over. And let's try this one together. So it says find the area of the trapezoid. First, we have to discover which 2 are the bases. So the bases are parallel to each other, so those would be 4 and 8. So this is just a trapezoid on its side. So I'm going to write 8 plus 4 in parentheses times the height. The height has to make the 90-degree angle, so look for that square. So there's the height, the line going from the bottom base to from the big base to the small base, straight up and down, and then divide the answer by 2. So 8 plus 4 is 12. 12 times 5 is 60. 60 divided by 2 is 30. So 30 millimeters squared. Okay, so I'm going to have you make sure you did this one with me, and we're going to try some others. You can do them in the back, the bottom of your notes. So I'm going to have you pause and try this one. So just to remember, it's the base plus the other base, big base plus small base, times the height, and then divide your answer by 2. So figure out which 2 are parallel. Those are your 2 bases. Add them up, multiply by the height, divide by 2. Now I'm going to try doing one on the grid. That means we have to come up with all of our measurements. So this would be a base, and this would be a base. I know that because they're parallel to each other. So I have to figure out how long they are. So I'm going to draw loops between squares and count how many I have. So I have 3 loops between the squares. So that has one base of 3. Same thing over here. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So far I have big base plus little base. I need to figure out the height. The height has to make a straight line from big base to little base, so I could draw it here, or I could just use the one that's down here. Count my loops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then divide my answer by 2. So this is big base plus little base times the height, dividing it by 2. So 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 times 6 is 54. 54 divided by 2 is actually 27 units squared. Okay? So I'm going to give you one of these to try now. So figure out which one are the bases. Remember, those are parallel to each other. Figure out the height. Remember, that has to be a perpendicular, so make a 90-degree angle with the bases. And then you can do your formula. Okay? So I'm going to have you try this one. This one's actually multiple choice, too, so you'll know if you got it right or not. So I would say that these two are the bases because they are parallel. You're going to have to draw in a height from one base to the other. So I would probably draw it right here. So see if you could figure out what this base is and what this base is and what this height is. So then remember, your formula is base plus base times the height divided by 2. Okay, so see if you could try that one. And it is multiple choice, so hopefully you'll see your answer. When you're done, I want you to try this one as well. So same exact thing. So I would say that this is a base and this is a base because they are parallel. And then draw a straight line from the top base to the bottom base. You can just draw it there if you want. Figure out what your bases are. And again, base plus base times your height divided by 2. Remember, your height has to make that 90-degree angle. So see if you could try that last one, and then you are all set.